Do you use the same English with your boss and your best friend? Ever feel unsure if your tone sounds too casual or too stiff? Welcome back to the Duodialogues, your go-to podcast for upgrading your English skills. In the last episode, we unlocked the secrets of persuasive speaking. Today, we're mastering when to sound formal and when to keep it casual.
Let's begin.
Okay, let's jump right in. Do you ever catch yourself sounding completely different depending on who you're talking to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the way you talk to your manager versus, say, your best friend.
Yeah.
And, well, what happens if switching between formal and informal English doesn't come naturally?
That's a really great question to start with because, this deep dive is all about mastering exactly that switch. We're going to look into the sources you shared, really dig into how to confidently move between formal and informal styles.
Right.
Focusing on things like tone, the words you choose, even how you structure your sentences.
And it really matters, doesn't it? The sources make it clear pretty fast your language isn't just, functional. It shapes perceptions.
Absolutely.
Whether you need to sound professional or just want to connect with someone, using the right style seems key.
Exactly. And what's really useful is how the sources break down the main differences. Formal English, for example. It's very much about structure, politeness. Mm-hmm. You hear phrases like, I would like to request assistance, or maybe, may I inquire about the status? Sentences are generally longer, more complete grammatically.
Okay.
And a big one, you usually avoid contractions. So do not instead of don't, is not instead of isn't.
Got it. So it's quite careful and precise language. How does informal flip that around then?
Oh, completely. Informal style, as the sources show, is really built for connection and just being relaxed.
Yeah.
Tone is way friendlier.
Yeah.
You naturally use contractions. I'm, you're. It's all those. Slang, colloquial words. Totally fine.
Right.
And sentences can be shorter. Sometimes they're not even full sentences, more like how we actually talk. Greetings are casual too, like hey or see ya.
Makes sense. You wouldn't exactly kick off a board meeting with,
hey,
what's up? So how different do these styles actually look in real life? The sources had some good comparisons, right?
Yeah, they did, yeah. And this is where it gets quite practical. Think about writing an email to your boss versus sending a quick text to a friend about the same thing, maybe asking for a day off versus suggesting a movie.
Yeah.
The email. Probably formal greetings, full sentences, professional language, the text, likely abbreviations, maybe emojis, contractions, much looser structure.
Or think about a formal presentation versus just grabbing coffee with a colleague.
Mm-hmm.
In the presentation, your words are chosen carefully, objectives, proposals, that sort of thing.
Sure.
But over coffee, it's more about stories, interjections, the conversation just flows, maybe jumps around a bit with quick phrases.
Precisely. And maybe the sharpest contrast, the sources point out, is the job interview versus chatting with a close friend.
Oh, yeah. Big difference there.
Huge.
Oui.
In the interview, the language is strategic, right? Showing competence, respect, using formal titles, full sentences. With a friend, you're using nicknames, inside jokes, maybe half-finished sentences. The tone reflects that shared history, that comfort. The shift is just incredibly clear.
Seeing those examples lined up really makes it click. It's not just theoretical rules. It's about feeling that difference and knowing when to use each style.
Yeah.
The sources also suggested a way for you, the listener, to practice this, didn't they?
Yes, exactly. A really simple but effective exercise. Try taking one basic message, like, say, asking for time off, which tends to be formal, or maybe inviting someone out, which is usually informal.
Okay.
And then consciously write that message two ways. First, in a very formal style, then rewrite it to be clearly informal. Really notice the words you change, how the sentences feel, the overall vibe.
Doing that comparison directly can really help you internalize how it works, make it less abstract. So thinking about how much our language shifts depending on the situation, it makes you wonder, what other subtle ways do we adjust how we communicate without even noticing?
That's a fascinating thought. And it brings us back to the core contrasts we discussed, pulled from the sources. Formal, using those polite phrases, I would like to, complete sentences, no contractions, professional vocabulary, versus informal with its friendly tone, slang, contractions like I'm gonna, shorter sentences, casual greetings like hiya, and those examples, the email versus text, meeting versus chat, interview versus friend, really highlight it.
Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive, exploring how we switch our language styles.
And stay tuned for more. We'll keep digging into interesting topics together.